Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Garp could not only have been an admiral, but he was the perfect choice to become Fleet Admiral. However, this didn't happen, and in this video, I reveal why. Folks, when we think about Garp and the weight of his decision not to become an admiral, we're drawn into a fascinating dilemma within the One Piece universe. It's something that has always intrigued readers, as Garp, with his immense power and vast experience, was undoubtedly more than qualified to occupy the highest rank in the Marine hierarchy. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Yet, he rejected this possibility. Throughout the story, we can identify clues and key moments that help us understand the reasons behind this decision, which is certainly not as simple as it may seem at first glance. First and foremost, it's important to understand what it means to be an admiral in the Marines. An admiral isn't just a prestigious position, it represents the pinnacle of military strength on the side of justice in the One Piece world. Admirals are the primary agents executing the will of the world government, tasked with maintaining order, protecting the celestial dragons, and neutralizing significant threats to global stability. The position of admiral demands not only unparalleled strength, but also complete alignment with the policies and ideals imposed by the world government. In other words, an admiral isn't just a warrior. They are a symbol, a tool, and often a political shield. To occupy this role, one needs not only raw power, but also the willingness to follow orders without question. And this is where Garp's philosophy completely clashes with the expectations of the position. What has always set Garp apart as a character is his unyielding spirit. From his earliest appearances, Garp has demonstrated that his idea of justice is unconventional. He doesn't act out of political interest or a desire for power. On the contrary, he seems to prefer a simpler path, one where he can fight for what he believes is right without being burdened by the bureaucratic machinery of the system. I believe Garp has a certain aversion to the rigidity of the Marine hierarchy, and this rejection of the system is an essential part of his identity. He's the type of person who prefers to act independently, trusting his own judgment to decide what's right or wrong, rather than blindly following orders from above. Moreover, if we examine Garp's relationship with other high-ranking Marine officers, such as Sengoku, we can perceive nuances that help us understand his decision. Sengoku, as someone who always played by the system's rules, frequently reprimanded Garp for his stubbornness and disregard for formalities. Sengoku himself made it clear in chapters like 431 and 957 that Garp was invited multiple times to become an admiral, but always refused. I think this reflects not only Garp's distrust of the system, but also a fundamental difference in how he and Sengoku viewed the role of the Marines. While Sengoku accepted the political responsibilities that came with his position, Garp seemed to disdain this facet of the job, perhaps because he believed that politics often hinder true justice. Another important point is Garp's lack of political ambition. While many characters in the Marines aspire to climb the hierarchy for prestige, power, or influence, Garp seems entirely indifferent to these desires. In fact, he's someone who prefers to avoid excessive responsibilities. This is evident in his lighter and more relaxed interactions, as seen during the Water 7 arc and the Marineford incident. Garp has never been concerned with glory or recognition. He is someone who prefers direct action on the battlefield where he can make a tangible difference. Perhaps he views high-ranking positions as something that would distance him from this way of life. It's also impossible to ignore the role of the celestial dragons in this equation. One of the main responsibilities of admirals is to protect the world nobles, and this is something Garp clearly despises. He has never hidden his disdain for the celestial dragons, whom he considers corrupt and tyrannical. Garp believes in merit and true strength, while the celestial dragons symbolize the opposite. I think the mere thought of having to protect people like them would be unbearable for Garp, and this likely played a significant role in his decision to decline the title of admiral. Garp's decision also reflects something deeper about his worldview. He seems to have a very clear awareness of the system's flaws, but still chooses to remain within it. It's a fascinating duality because Garp is someone who disagrees with many aspects of the Marines and the world government, yet decides to fight for justice within this system. Perhaps he sees the position of vice admiral as a balance point, where he can act with more freedom without being completely consumed by the bureaucracy. It's also interesting to consider the impact of Garp's decision on those around him. As someone who trained heroes like Kuzan and helped shape the next generation of Marines, Garp has shown that his influence goes far beyond any title or position he could hold. I believe he felt he could make more of a difference as a mentor and as a symbol of strength within the Marines than as an admiral, limited by protocols and political responsibilities. If Garp had decided to accept the position position of Admiral, the dynamics within the Marines, and even within the world government might have been quite different. The very story of One Piece would have changed, impacting not only the Marines, but other characters such as Luffy, Sengoku, and even the world as a whole. This shift of Garp to Admiral would have had profound ramifications, both in terms of morality and political structure. In the following sections, we'll explore how the One Piece universe would have been impacted if Garp had become an Admiral. If Garp had become an Admiral, he likely would have been more of a puppet for the world government, although his immense strength and reputation would not have allowed him to be completely submissive. However, this would have changed the nature of his approach to justice. As an Admiral, he would have been more of an enforcer of government policies, much more tied to the system than to an ideal of justice that was independent or personal. The lack of political ambition Garp always demonstrated would have been completely overridden if he found himself trapped within the machinery of power. Perhaps he would still have tried to balance the scales in his favor, but the bureaucracy and demands of being the world government's right hand would have diminished his ability to act unpredictably or make decisions in the heat of the moment, as he always preferred. Garp was always a fierce critic of the Celestial Dragons, and this would have been a significant obstacle if he had accepted the position of Admiral. He would have been forced to protect these odious figures whom he has always despised. Perhaps Garp might have acted more irreverently in the role, trying to sabotage or circumvent orders involving the protection of the Celestial Nobles. However, this subversive attitude would have jeopardized his position and placed the Navy in a delicate situation where he could be seen as an internal threat to the world government itself. Another crucial factor would be the repercussions within Garp's family. Luffy, his grandson, and Ace, his late adopted grandson, both belong to the world of pirates. Garp has always stood on the side of justice without compromising family ties. As a vice admiral, he had the flexibility to navigate this balance. But if he had become an admiral, his public stance would have needed to be more rigid and inflexible, potentially creating more significant conflicts with Luffy, who embodies the pursuit of freedom and the search for the one piece of path diametrically opposed to what the Navy represents. Had Garp accepted the admiral position, his relationship with Luffy could have deteriorated. Luffy, who has repeatedly defied the Navy, would likely have been an even greater target under Garp's authority as an admiral. Their relationship, marked by deep affection, yet a clash of ideals, might have been strained further. Luffy's unwavering belief in forging his own path stands in stark contrast to the military rigidity of the Navy, creating an unavoidable tension. Moreover, Garp's decision to ascend to Admiral might have endangered his bond with Ace, especially considering Ace's tragic fate. If Garp had been an Admiral, his adherence to protocol could have hindered his ability to intervene in Ace's execution. His desire to save his grandson would have clashed with the very position of power he occupied, as an Admiral must prioritize orders from higher authorities, even in deeply personal and emotional circumstances like Ace's. As an admiral, Garp might have adopted a more aggressive military approach, but this could have alienated the more conservative factions within the Navy, which prefer diplomacy and long-term strategy. Garp's character doesn't fit the mold of a conventional admiral, and this fundamental misalignment would likely have created tensions within the Navy's hierarchy. Other admirals and high-ranking officers might have viewed Garp as an uncontrollable authority figure, leading to internal disputes and challenges to his decisions. Additionally, Garp's loyalty would have been a controversial issue within the Navy. Rather than being entirely submissive to the world government, Garp would have remained a more rebellious figure within the institution. This could have caused divisions between him and other members of the military hierarchy, forcing him to make unpopular decisions, even against his own will. If Garp had taken on the role of admiral, his relationship with pirates and revolutionary groups would also have been affected. His already immense reputation as one of the greatest combatants against pirates would have been amplified. As an admiral, he would have been even more recognized and feared for his power and presence. Although over the years, Garp has shown a certain sympathy for some pirate causes, the admiral position would have solidified his stance against them in direct confrontation, making him an even more uncompromising figure of authority. But what I really want to know is, what do you think about all of this? Do you agree with me? And most importantly, would you have wanted to see Garp as an admiral? That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.